Aaron Reynolds, the incredibly dead pets of Rex Dexter. Incredibly dead, incredibly funny. To Jody, who believed Rex's crazy tale from the start. Prologue. Allow me to be completely transparent. You probably won't believe any of this. Even my best friend Darvish didn't believe me at first, and that guy will believe just about anything. When we first met in 3rd grade, I told him I was really a spy for the country of Poopsylvania. He believed it for 3 solid weeks. You heard right. He believed in a country called Poopsylvania for almost a month. But even Darvish had a hard time choking down recent events in my life, which is why I haven't told a single living person what's been happening to me. Except Darvish. And now you. Deep breath. Here goes. I can talk to dead animals. There, I said it. Are you happy now? I'm talking about animals that are deceased, bereft of life, no longer with us. Only apparently they are still with us. And let me tell you, they're a chatty group. I don't know how they find me. I'm not sure who is handing out my address in the animal underworld, but somehow they do. They find me. They talk to me. They pester me to do stuff for them. I've become an afterlife errand boy. A word of advice. If you ever find yourself in a contest with the Grim Reaper, or a mechanical facsimile of the Grim Reaper, make sure you win. Perhaps I've said too much. Perhaps I should back up and start at the very beginning. Good idea. Forget you read this. Chapter 1. My story starts with a dream. We all have dreams, right? A fire in the belly that drives our spirit toward accomplishment. George Washington dreamed of being the first president with wooden teeth. Albert Einstein dreamed of having fluffier hair than any other scientist in history. Pepto-Bismol dreamed of a world without diarrhea. The first thing you should know about me is this. More than anything else in the world, I've always dreamed of owning a dog, a real live pet of my own. I know what you're thinking. Why a dog? How about a cat or a gerbil? In my mind, a dog is the only true pet. A cat? No. A ferret? Cool, but no. A gerbil? Please! Of all the household animals, a dog is the pinnacle. No other animal can compare. And the best of the best, my greatest wish, my most fervent dream, a chocolate Labrador. That's a proper pet. Don't get me wrong. I'm open to other possibilities. A yellow Labrador would be fine. A black Labrador, also fine. Even a golden retriever would be okay. Not perfect, but certainly acceptable. As you can see, I'm not picky. I was practically born to have a dog. After all, my name is Rex. Rex Dexter. It's a dog's name, for crying out loud. It's one step away from being called Fido or Bandit or Spot. With a name like mine, I should obviously own a dog, but I don't. See this empty backyard? It is devoid of canine. See the foot of my bed? It suffers from absence of pooch. See this kitchen floor? It is without dog dish. It is a sad state of affairs. My cruel situation is made even worse by a cold and ruthless reality. Everyone I know has a pet. Everyone! For example, there's Sammy Mulpepper. Sammy Mulpepper is the smartest kid in my class. She has wavy hair and smells of soup. She also has an English setter named Sarsaparilla. You can tell she's smart by her choice of pet. This does not mean I like her. I do not. Edwin Willoughby sits 3 rows behind me at school. He has a pit bull named Alfred. I respect his life choices. Even Holly Kreskin has 2 cats named Tiger and Sardine. Cats don't really count, but it still supports my point. 2 cats! And I don't think she even likes animals. She wrinkles her nose every time I bring them up. My own best friend has 4 dogs, if you can believe it. 4! It is greedy in the extreme. Here is a list of the pets living at Darvish's house. 1. A pug named Rascal. 2. A Dalmatian named Tika. 3. A Schnauzer named Hong Kong Phooey. 4. A boxer named Sir Barksalot. 5. A fat raccoon, nameless, that resides in Darvish's backyard because his mom leaves dog food on the back porch. Darvish insists that the raccoon does not count, but even without the raccoon, I think we can all agree, Darvish is a pet hoarder. One time Darvish let me pretend that Rascal was mine and take him for a walk. He is a thoughtful friend, despite his pet-hogging tendencies. 5 minutes into our walk, Rascal threw up on my shoe, so I could tell his heart wasn't in it. Chapter 2. The closest I've come to the dog of my dreams was Bub. Bub was not the dog of my dreams. That is mostly because he was a fish. A fish does not count as a real-life pet, but I suppose it is better than nothing. I had Bub for exactly 27 minutes. His name was supposed to be Bubbles. However, he suffered a very unfortunate mishap just prior to receiving his full legal name. It wasn't technically my fault. I was following directions given to me by a licensed professional. The guy at Pet Planet said to put him in water as soon as possible. So where was I supposed to put him in water? Do we own a swimming pool? Of course not. My parents are cheap. Is there a large aquarium in my house that is currently vacant? Don't be ludicrous. Do I reside on beachfront property? I wish. There's only one place in our house that is filled with water, so that's where I put him. It was supposed to be for a second or 2. I was dutifully filling Bub's little fishbowl at the sink. I was saying, I think I'll call him Bub. That's when I heard the flush. Can I help it that my dad doesn't look for fish before he takes care of his business? After that, my parents decided I was a little under-responsible to have a pet, which is ironic because I might be one of the most mature, responsible, rational people I've ever met. What if you'd flushed a dog, my dad said, which is silly. First, I did not flush Bub. Any jury of my peers would see this. Second, it is practically impossible to flush a dog down the toilet. Unless it's a corgi or a chihuahua. I'm pretty sure those are known in the business as flushable breeds. Chapter 3. Ms. Yardley is taking attendance. She is my 6th grade teacher. She has a voice that is roughly the same pitch and decibel level as a dead car battery trying to start. I feel for her. For all of us, really. But happily, I can't hear it at the moment because Darvish is talking to me. I smell chowder, he says. Do you smell chowder? Of course I smell it, I say. It's coming from our soup-scented neighbor to the north. Canada. No, I explain. I don't like to be rude, so I will talk in code. Her name rhymes with clammy dull pepper. Well, whatever it is, it smells good, he says. Tomatoey. I refuse to dignify such talk with a response. Everyone knows a true chowder does not contain tomatoes. Plus, his assertion that Sammy smells good is preposterous. Some might say she smells wonderful. Some might say she is highly attractive. Some might say her hair is the magical color of autumn leaves, kissed by early morning sunlight. But not me. So, are you having a birthday party? Darvish asks. As my best friend, Darvish is well aware that my birthday is looming. I think this might finally be it. The year of the dog. After all, it has been a couple of years since the Bub fiasco. I am hoping the stink of that unfortunate incident has been washed away by the loofah sponge of time. Darvish, birthday parties are for children, I say, shaking my head sadly. Do I look like a children? Yes, he says. We both look like children. Well, I'm not, and neither are you. Okay. But you're welcome to come over after I get my presents so I can gloat. Okay. Mrs. Yardley's unmistakable voice has reached my row. Darvish! Calls Ms. Yardley. We've been in school for nearly 2 months, yet this poor woman still insists on calling daily attendance. I worry there may be something wrong with her memory functions. For her own well-being, I should bring this to the attention of the school board at their next meeting. Here, Miss Yardley, says Darvish from in front of me. Rex! I do not answer. It is a little game we play. Rex, please say here when I call your name, she says. Miss Yardley, I say, addressing her with the deference due her station, please refer to me as the dogless Rex Dexter. We've talked about this, and she full well knows it. I'm not doing that, she says. I have the feeling my civil liberties are being infringed upon. How about his royal petlessness? This proposal has also been repeatedly met with resistance. I'm not doing that either. It's not for much longer, I inform her. I expect to receive that dog any time now. Rex, my birthday's in a few days, I explain helpfully. My parents do not realize it, but I have been cutting up pictures of dogs from magazines and leaving them around the house. They have no idea that I'm secretly manipulating them. It's adorable. Rex, she sighs, rubbing her eyes. This tug-of-war has been raging since the start of the school year. Allow me to suggest a compromise. You may feel free to come up with a name of your own invention, as long as it reflects my ill-treated and petless state and the general unfairness of the world we live in. Rex, please. Just think, Miss Yardley. I've allowed you carte blanche. The only limit is your own creativity. Rex! Dexter! She says through gritted teeth. Here, I yield. I cannot fight her forever. Chapter 4. The big day has arrived. My birthday jubilee, the glorious anniversary of my birth. B-Day for me day. I may be too old for a party, but you can never be too old to have cake and ice cream for breakfast. The cake is shaped like a chocolate Labrador. My request. It is also chocolate cake, also my request, with chocolate ice cream. That's right, a chocolate Labrador. If the thought of that makes your heart take flight, you are not alone. The whole idea is poetic and speaks to the soul as well as the taste buds. If Emily Dickinson had created chocolate Labrador cakes instead of books, she probably would have made a few more sales. As tasty as this poetic concoction is, the main event beckons. My mom emerges from the kitchen, heavy laden with my present. She carries a box with a big red ribbon. It has holes on the side. Holes! Holes in a box mean one thing and one thing only. From within the box comes the glorious sound of muffled scratching. My suspicions are confirmed. There's something alive in that box. And that something is a living, breathing air through holes in a box dog. Clearly, my subtle manipulation of their brainwaves these past weeks has paid off. The size of the box could indicate a small breed, terrier, dachshund. Not as big and impressive as one would hope, but I pride myself in being Mr. Flexible. Besides, a small box might also mean a chocolate Labrador puppy. I put my ear to the box and I hear it, breathing, and an odd little clucking bark. Perhaps some exotic and rare breed? My mom and dad have outdone themselves. Have I mentioned lately that I have the best parents in the known universe? My anticipation has been pushed past its limits. I cannot wait a moment longer to meet my new lifelong pal and bosom companion. I rip off the ribbon. I untie the strings. I take a deep breath. Then at long last I yank off the box lid to gaze joyfully upon my very own pet. Chicken! Please disregard my previous statement about having the best parents in the known universe. It is not their fault. My parents and I are clearly suffering from a failure to communicate. Perhaps I've been too subtle with my hinting. I try to express myself in simple, easy-to-follow terms. Guys, this is a chicken, Exactly, says my mom. What do I do with it, I ask. It's a pet, says my dad. A chicken isn't a pet, Dad. A chicken is a happy meal. It's a practice pet. Practice? Pet? This will give you a chance to practice your maturity, says my mom. Take good care of the chicken. Then we can see about getting a dog, says my dad. There is one thing in the world that I wanted for my birthday more than a real live dog. A lesson in responsibility. That's sarcasm, by the way. Bitter birthday sarcasm, which is the most sarcastic kind of sarcasm known to mankind. Chapter 5. That's definitely not a dog, says Darvish. I know it's not a dog. I have 4 dogs, he points out, so I'm kind of an expert on them. This greedy kid is forever rubbing his brood of pets in my face, and that's definitely not a dog. We are sitting in my room. Darvish is on my bed eating a bag of chocolate chips he has produced from his backpack. Just chocolate chips. Who eats a bag of chocolate chips? Darvish, that's who. The kid always has some random snack on him, which is a handy skill set to have available when the munchies kick in. I, however, am not eating a bag of chocolate chips. I am busy staring at my new pet. I suppose it is attractive as far as poultry goes. It has reddish feathers and a sassy black tail, and that weird red flap on the top of his head, which probably makes this a rooster, technically speaking. But despite its regal bearing, this rooster has done nothing but cluck. Cluck, cluck, cluck. It has loads to say, but nothing of real substance. I think its eyes are even pointing in different directions. I don't blame my parents. If anything, I blame myself. I really thought I was raising them better than this. Do you have any chicken supplies? Asked Darvish. Up until this exact moment, I have been blissfully unaware of the existence of chicken supplies. I shake my head. You mean chicken food? Yeah, and a chicken food dish, and a chicken water dish, and a chicken litter box, whatever chicken stuff that chickens need. He's right. My parents have given me a practice pet and tossed me into the deep end with no chicken supplies. Those two are wily, but I am on to their games, and if I'm going to show the depths of my common sense and responsible nature, I clearly require chicken-related accessories. It's time for a trip to Pet Planet. I love Pet Planet because you can bring your own pets into the store with you. Of course, I have never had a pet to bring into Pet Planet before. Bub left this world too soon. I tried to take Rascal there one time, but we all know how that little caper turned out. But now I have a chicken. I'm going to have to get used to saying that. I just realized something, I tell Darvish. I'm going to walk into Pet Planet with an animal of my very own for the first time ever. You don't pet? He says. That's kind of exciting for you. Well, not a real pet, I clarify, but a living, breathing, animal-shaped companion. I've done it loads of times with Rascal. It's no big deal. Life holds so few perks, I say. Quit ruining this for me. Sorry, he says. How are you going to get your chicken there? He's right again. I have no chicken collar. Item 1 on the shopping list, chicken collar. And I have no chicken leash. Item 2. So I tie a piece of rope around my chicken's neck. Well, I try. This chicken is having none of it. It jumps up on the bed and pecks at Darvish violently until my best friend flees to the safety of my beanbag chair. Hey, Darvish cries. That bird has problems. Despite Darvish's experience with animals, I do not think my practice pet likes him. Maybe it senses some character flaw I have not yet discovered. Having claimed my bed as its own, the chicken nuzzles in next to me and does the chicken version of purring. Aw, says Darvish, I think it likes you. If this were a dog, my heart would be melting. If this were a puppy, I would cherish this moment forever. But it is a chicken. So instead of having an emotional moment, I take advantage of its misplaced trust. I quickly lasso its neck with my makeshift leash, and we take our first walk to Pet Planet. Only this bird seems to resent being plucked from its roost on my bed. Either that or chickens just don't like to walk. So we take more of a drag to Pet Planet. My chicken clucks loudly the entire way. Perhaps it is excited. Who can blame it? Being my gift and getting to go to the store, this chicken is having a big day. Chapter 6. There is not much to do in Middling Falls. We have a library, a small zoo, a bowling alley. We are also the albino squirrel capital of the Northwest, so that's a big deal if you're into really pale rodents. Otherwise, this town is a wad of lint in the belly button of the modern world, which means Bye Bye Plaza is usually crowded. Because of that, the parking lot is always under construction. It stinks of fresh asphalt and sweaty construction workers, and all manner of people hover on the sidewalk outside of the stores begging for signatures and charitable donations. Darvish's bookish demeanor makes him an easy mark. The poor guy has sucker written all over him. The Pixie Scout girls attack first, hawking their baked goods. Excuse me, sir, they say, assaulting my personal space bubble with their perkiness. Want to buy some Pixie Scout cookies? Only $3 a box. No, thanks. Darvish starts to slow down. But Rex, I love Pixie Scout cookies, especially the ones with the chocolate and coconut. See? He's a wounded gazelle among these predators, waiting to be devoured. I grab his shirt and keep walking. A teenager waves a clipboard in our faces. He's wearing a tie and a big button that says, Pupae. Join Pupae, guys. The animals need you. No thanks. Keep walking. That's the key. Donate to the Loyal Order of the Wombat! Screeches a guy in a fuzzy hat. No thanks. Get your tickets to the Fireman's Taco Tuesday, yells a toothy fireman. Rex, yells Darvish. Tacos! I pick up my pace. Luckily for him, he's got me for a friend. Otherwise, his entire allowance will go to Pixie Scout cookies, the Wombat Lodge, and Firehouse tacos. It is good I am here to save him from himself. We are almost to the door of Pet Planet. Glorious pet-centric respite awaits. But suddenly, we see it. At first, it looks like an arcade game from the 80s, but I quickly see it's not a video game. It's an old-style carnival game. And it's not from the 80s. It's much older and much cooler. There's a joystick and several buttons, but instead of a screen, there's a glass case that holds a life-size Grim Reaper. His black hood rests on his bone-white skull. Skeletal hands stick out from the sleeves with their palms open, beckoning us to play. Old-fashioned letters across the top display the name of the game. The Reaper's Curse. I turn to Darvish. This is worth stopping for. How did something this cool wind up in Middling Falls? He looks skeptical. I don't know. It looks weird. How do you play? Who cares, I say. Look, it only costs 25 cents. I fish around in my pocket. Nothing. Loan me a quarter, Darvish. Loan? He clarifies, rooting in his pocket. You're going to pay me back? Probably not, I confess. He puts the quarter in my palm and I stick it into the coin slot. We wait. Nothing happens. Oh, man, says Darvish. You wasted a perfectly good quarter for nothing. It's busted. It's vintage, I say. Give it a chance. I bang on the front. Nothing. I kick it. Nothing. I grab the case and try to shake it into submission. The thing weighs a ton. Must be made of solid iron. Is it plugged in? Asks Darvish. I look around to the side of the case and see something disturbing. The power cord is plugged into the wall, but I had forgotten about my chicken. It's pecking curiously at the plug. It's like watching a toddler shove a grape up its nose. You know you should stop it, but you kind of want to see what happens. I'm not saying I'm proud of these thoughts. Just being honest. And then it happens. The chicken pees. Right on the plug. Interesting fact, says Darvish. Did you know chickens don't technically pee? Their pee mixes with their poop and it all comes out in a kind of combo pile. They don't pee or poop. They peep. My friend has a knack for repulsive trivia. Well, my chicken is doing a peep right on the electrical cord. This bird is not the brightest crayon in the box. Sparks fly and there's a small series of zapping sounds. Darvish and I jump, but the chicken seems fine. There's a hum from the game and it roars to life. I told you it just needed to warm up. The Grim Reaper inside starts to move. He puts his bony hand near a small chute and my quarter falls into his palm. Behind him, a little sign spins into place. Play against the Grim Reaper. Win and your wish is granted. Lose and suffer the Reaper's curse. Whoa, cries Darvish in realization. This is just like that old movie from the 80s. What movie? I ask. You know, he persists. The one with Tom Hanks. Never heard of him. He wishes to be tall, Darvish says, or grown. What was it called? Tall? Large? No idea, I tell him. Unlike you, I do not spend my time on ancient movies from a bygone era. The Grim Reaper points to a little light-up sign on the front of the case. Do you challenge the Reaper's curse? This is creepy, Darvish mutters. My people don't like skeletons. What people are you talking about? I ask him. People from Pakistan? No, he says. Scaredy cats. Don't be a baby, I say, nudging him. This is the coolest game I've ever seen. I reach out and tap the yes button. Well, be careful, says Darvish. It didn't work out too good for Tom Hanks. Behind the Grim Reaper, a new sign lights up. Make your wish. What are you going to wish for? Asks Darvish. Easy, I say. I look at the Grim Reaper right in his glowing eyes. I wish I had a real-life pet instead of this chicken. The Reaper in the case jerkily comes to life. It puts the quarter on the counter in front of it. Its skeleton fingers pull out 3 tin cups and place them in a row before me. The Reaper moves the 3rd cup over the quarter. Follow the coin. Lights up. The Grim Reaper begins to slide the cups around the counter. It rearranges them. It figure-eights them. It swaps them around, always keeping my quarter hidden. I follow the cups with my eyes, tracking my quarter's movements. After several seconds and a few especially tricky switches, it stops. Another sign lights up. Find the coin. Easy, I say. Dude, it's only supposed to look easy, says Darvish. This is the Grim Reaper you're dealing with. This is a skeleton robot from 1935 I'm dealing with, I say. I think I can handle him. There are 3 buttons next to the joystick. They are labeled left, middle, and right. I punch the middle button. The Reaper reaches out with its hand and grasps the middle cup. It raises the cup to reveal... nothing. The quarter isn't there. The Reaper's head rears back, lower jaw moving as a sinister laugh comes from the machine. It removes the cups from view. All the little signs turn off and the machine grows quiet, like it has to reset to its starting position. There's a little ding sound from the bottom of the machine. I look down. The Reaper's machine spits out a small card from a slot in the front. You lost. Your wish shall not be granted. My curse now leaves you thus enchanted. A real-life pet. That's what you've wished. A pet you'll get, but there's a twist. For animals of every size will pass away, then open eyes. When death leaves questions of mystique, their spirits linger, eyelids peak, to find their answers. You they'll seek. This is the ending of my verse, and now, enjoy the Reaper's curse. Well, that's weird and horrifyingly specific, I say. Let's get my chicken supplies and get out of here. Oh my gosh, dude, Darvish says. His voice is suddenly choked and strained. He tugs on my sleeve. I don't think that's going to be necessary. I turn slowly around toward the parking lot. There, at the end of my rope, is the chicken. Or what used to be the chicken. I can't believe what I'm seeing. My chicken is dead. It's been squashed paper thin by the steamroller that is repaving the asphalt. I am stunned into silence. I am aghast. I am gobsmacked. I told you not to challenge the Reaper's curse, says Darvish. I think we're going to be sick. My poor chicken. It never had a chance. True, was hardly a real pet, but despite its shortcomings, I would never wish this fate on it. This flat, squished fate. For some reason, I think to check the time, and I realize that it has been 1 hour and 14 minutes since I came into possession of the chicken. It's a new record for me. It's 47 minutes longer than Bub lasted. I'm pretty sure I'm making progress in this whole responsibility thing. I look down at the card in my hand. I turn it over. There's a picture of a skull on the front, shrouded in green mist. I could swear it's laughing. Classic. Chapter 7. Oddly enough, my parents do not seem to think that I'm making progress in this whole responsibility thing. I'd rather not talk about the events of the rest of the day. Events that involve me having to explain how I allowed my brand new chicken to be crushed into a poultry pancake. Events that involve my mom shaking her head and rubbing her eyes. Events that involve my dad uttering phrases like, never getting a dog, and go to your room, and where's my anti-anxiety medication. Events that involve Darvish throwing up. That kid has a weak stomach when it comes to flattened animals. Please stop pestering me for details. I said I don't want to talk about it. What I will talk about is how I'm lying in my bed, which, right now, is about the furthest place from getting a chocolate lab as anywhere on Earth. I'm still dazed from the way this rotten day has gone from bad to worse. I know it's selfish to feel bad for myself. I should feel bad for the chicken, and I do. Proper pet or not, nobody deserves to perish at the mercy of a rampaging steamroller. I pull the Grim Reaper's card out of my pocket. It has to be just a coincidence that my chicken dies a gruesome death just seconds after I lose a bet with death, but it's an awfully weird one. I shiver. My room is suddenly freezing. My dad must be punishing me further by turning the heat down. That's when I hear a low scraping sound. It's a kind of shuffling noise, like a sack of puppy chow being dragged across the floor. I sit up and look around the room, but of course there's nothing there. I know I'm alone. A chill runs up my spine. I can practically see my breath forming in the dimness before me. That's how frosty it's gotten. The room has started to darken as twilight creeps in through the window blinds. But I don't get up to turn on the light. I just lie there. I'm in mourning. For my birthday, for my dignity. Oh, yeah, and for my chicken. I shiver again. The poor thing. It didn't even have a name, for crying out loud.
I didn't even have a name, for crying out loud,
somebody says. Only there are currently no other somebodies in my room. I see a flash of movement out of the corner of my eye. I turn my head, but there's nothing there, which rates about a 6 on the spooky meter. The hairs on my arm stand on end. I look at my bedroom door, closed. I look at my closet, open and empty. I look at the foot of my bed. A dead chicken looks back at me. My blood runs cold. I scramble back, knocking my lamp off the table. It hovers over the end of my bed, this farmyard phantom. It is pale and squashed, a ghostly fritter of its former self. It gazes at me with a cold, dead stare. Sickly green vapors rise from the foul vision before me. I try to talk, but my breath catches. I clear my throat, take a ragged, shaky breath, and attempt to communicate with the apparition before me. What are you? I whisper, but I know what it is. There's only one possible explanation. It is the ghost of my dead chicken, a vengeful spirit, a specter, tortilla flat, and ready to exact its revenge upon me, which rates about a 9 on the spooky meter, which should now be referred to as the horrifically hideous spooky meter of doom. Unless the horrifically hideous spooky meter of doom is a scale of 1 through 5, in which case it rates a 5. Unless the horrifically hideous spooky meter of doom is like the DEFCON scale, where 1 is high and 5 is low, in which case, what genius came up with that idea? Like people have time to perform mathematical conversion when they're in the presence of something horrifically hideous. I shiver again. Then its beak opens. I tremble in anticipation of what it will say. What possible otherworldly condemnation can it utter at me for allowing its recent and undignified demise? 2 words issue forth from its pitch-black squawk box of horror.
Hiya, bestie.
Chapter 8. I'm having a conversation with my dead chicken. A weird conversation. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said, hiya, bestie,
the chicken says. I look around the room for garlic or a wooden stake. Nothing. My dad's been tidying my room again without asking. I hold my fingers in a cross before me. What do you want, spirit? I ask it.
I don't know.
What are you doing here, phantom? I demand.
I don't know.
How come you can talk, apparition?
I've always talked. I have a lot to say.
Fine. How come I can understand you?
I don't know.
This chicken is no more helpful in death than it was in life. Don't you have somewhere else you should be? I ask.
Like where?
Like moving toward the bright light, I suggest.
I did see a bright light,
cries the chicken.
Earlier, shining at me through a tunnel.
I think you were supposed to go toward it, I say.
I thought it was another steamroller,
says the chicken.
Did you see that steamroller? It almost hit me.
It did hit you.
Okay.
Why didn't you go toward the bright light, I asked.
I started to, but something stopped me. It felt like I was supposed to stay here. With you.
Why? I ask.
I don't know, bestie.
It says.
For some reason, I felt like maybe you needed me.
I don't. And quit calling me bestie.
Should I call you BFF?
No.
Should I call you homie?
No.
Should I call you bro? Chief? Amigo? El Jefe?
Just call me Rex. There's a long silence.
Rex.
Its ghostly howl sends me diving under the blankets. What? I screech.
Nothing.
It says.
I was just trying it out. It's not much of a best buddy nickname, but it's a start. So how about a name for me, Rex?
First, I'm having a conversation with a dead bird. Second, he's a real comedian. Third, he apparently feels bad that he is nameless. Things are getting weirder by the minute, and not in an awesome way. Why would a dead chicken need a name? I ask.
So you know what to call me, of course. Duh.
Are we really going to be talking to each other enough for that to be a problem?
Oh, I'll be here for a while,
He says.
as long as you need me.
But I don't need you now, I say.
Okay.
I'm getting nowhere with this. Fine, how about just flat chicken? He thinks about it for a second.
Nope, that's a description, not a name.
Nugget? I suggest.
No.
How about roadkill? He considers.
That makes me sound dangerous, like I have a past.
You do have a past, I remind him. You are actual roadkill.
No,
He decides.
it's not quite right.
Drumstick, I suggest. He walks around the bed thinking it over. When he turns sideways, I can barely see him. He's paper thin. That steamroller really did a number on him,
I like it.
he says.
Drumstick it is.
The bird sits down on my comforter. His green, otherworldly vapor pools around him like a puddle of toxic waste. He scratches his beak with his foot.
You should probably get some sleep.
He says. Why? I ask.
You're going to need your rest. I think your life is about to get cuckoo.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
I think my life may already be cuckoo, but he's right. The events of this day have exhausted me. I lie down. If this chicken is here to be my spirit guide, I'm pretty sure he's doing it wrong. I think I got a trainee by mistake. Are you just going to sit there while I sleep? I asked. Not that that's creepy. It is creepy.
I'm fine, buddy, old pal.
He clucks.
I'm just happy we're back together again.
I roll over, pull my covers up to my face. The room is freezing. I try not to think about the fact that there's a dead barnyard bird sitting on the edge of my bed. Darvish is never going to believe this. And that kid believes everything.